The Discovery reached Earth after 5 days of hard travel. Jake Morrison had never seen his home planet look so busy. Ships filled the orbital stations, and military vessels moved in patterns that suggested high alert status. Something big was happening. Jake took a shuttle down to the surface, landing at the old Pentagon complex in what used to be Washington. Admiral Sullivan met him at the landing pad. She looked tired, as if she had not slept in days. "Good to see you, Jake," she sighed, but her smile was forced. "I hope you're ready for this. What you're about to learn has been kept secret for over 200 years. They walked into the building through security checkpoints that Jake had never seen before. Scanners checked his DNA, his brain patterns, and things he could not identify. Guards watched every step they took. "How deep does this go?" Jake asked as they entered an elevator that seemed to descend forever. "Deeper than you can imagine," Sullivan replied. "The facility we're going to doesn't officially exist. The people who work there don't officially exist either. If anyone asks, you were never here." The elevator finally stopped. They walked through corridors lined with metal walls that seemed to absorb sound. Jake noticed that his footsteps made no echo. Even his breathing seemed muffled. They passed through more security doors until they reached a room that felt different from the others. The walls seemed to drink in light, making everything look dim despite the bright ceiling panels. "Jake Morrison, meet Dr. Amy Chun," Sullivan said. A woman in a white lab coat stood up from a desk covered with papers and computer screens. She was middle-aged with gray hair and sharp eyes that looked like they had seen too many secrets. "Captain Morrison," Dr. Chun said, shaking his hand. "I've read your reports about the alien transmissions. You've stumbled onto something that we've been trying to understand for a very long time." Sullivan gestured to chairs around a table. "Sit down. Jake, what we're about to show you is known to fewer than 12 people in all of human space. After today, you'll be the 13th. Dr. Chun activated a holographic display above the table. Images appeared showing incident reports, star charts, and data that made Jake's head spin. "It started in 2156, Chun began. The year of humanities. First interstellar war. We were fighting the Alteran Empire, and we were losing badly. Their technology was better, their ships were faster, and they had been fighting space wars for thousands of years while we had barely left our solar system. The display showed battle reports from that ancient conflict. Jake could see that human. Forces had been outnumbered and outgunned in every engagement. Then something changed," Chun continued. "Alteran fleets started having problems. Their ships would suffer mysterious system failures. Their supply lines were disrupted by unknown forces. Entire battle groups would simply disappear. At first, we thought it was sabotage by human special forces," Sullivan added. "But our records showed no operations in those areas. No human ships, no human personnel, nothing that could explain what was happening." The hologram shifted to show more recent data. Jake recognized some of the locations from his own patrol reports. "Over the next 2 centuries, the pattern continued," Chun said. "Every time humanity faced a major threat, something intervened. Not our military, not our government, but something else." Jake studied the data. "How many incidents are we talking about?" "Over 3,000 confirmed cases," Chun replied. "And probably many more that we never detected. The Arcturus plague that should have killed 12 million colonists just stopped spreading overnight. The stellar convergence that threatened to destroy 5-star systems was somehow prevented. The AI uprising on New Geneva ended when the machine's programming was rewritten from inside their own networks. All of these events were impossible to stop with known technology," Sullivan explained. "Yet they were stopped. And in many cases, witnesses reported seeing the same thing." The hologram changed again, showing witness statements and security recordings. Jake read through them, feeling more confused with each report. "A woman," he said finally. "They all mention a woman. Always human, always female, but the descriptions never quite match," Chun confirmed. "Some say she's young, others say she's middle-aged. Some see her in military uniform, others in civilian clothes. But there are consistent elements. She appears alone. She seems to know things before they happen. And she always disappears after the crisis is over." Jake looked up from the reports. "Do we have any idea who she is?" Dr. Chun exchanged a look with Admiral Sullivan. "We have a theory. Based on the evidence, we believe she exists outside of normal time. She can see past, present, and future simultaneously. This allows her to prevent threats before they fully develop." "That's impossible," Jake said. "5 years ago, we would have agreed with you," Sullivan replied. "But the evidence is overwhelming. She's not just protecting current humanity. She's protecting our entire timeline." Dr. Chun pulled up another display showing a complex web of interconnected events. "Look at this pattern. Every intervention she makes prevents not just immediate threats, but future ones as well. She stops wars before they start, prevents diseases before they spread, eliminates enemies before they become strong enough to threaten us." Jake studied the pattern. It was like looking at a chess game played across centuries, with moves that only made sense when you could see the entire board. "We call it Operation Looking Glass," Sullivan explained. "Our attempt to understand and possibly contact our guardian. Every major colony world has monitoring stations. Every deep space vessel carries detection equipment. We've spent billions of credits trying to find answers." "Any success?" Jake asked. "Limited," Chun admitted. "We've detected temporal anomalies around major incidents, energy signatures that don't match any known technology. But she remains completely elusive. She only appears when the stakes are highest." Sullivan leaned forward. "Jake, the reason we're telling you this is because something has changed. The alien transmissions you intercepted suggest that other species are starting to figure it out. They're connecting humanity's survival to this guardian figure. Some alien cultures now worship her as a goddess of war," Chun added. "Others fear her as death itself. But they all know she's the reason humanity has survived and thrived in a galaxy full of hostile species." Jake felt a cold realization creeping over him. If they ever found a way to stop her, humanity would face the combined wrath of dozens of species who have been planning revenge for generations. Sullivan finished. "Species that we've unknowingly humiliated through her interventions." The room fell silent. Jake looked at the data. Surrounding him, evidence of a protector he had never known existed. Someone who had been keeping humanity safe for over 2 centuries, asking for nothing in return. "What do you need me to do?" he asked finally. Admiral Sullivan smiled, but it was not a happy expression. "We need you to find her, Jake, before our enemies do." Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Discovery, watching the stars through the main screen. His ship moved slowly through the Kepler 442 system, far from Earth and the safety of human space. Out here, anything could happen. Pirates, hostile aliens, or worse things that humanity had not yet discovered. Jake had been exploring space for 15 years. He knew the dangers of the Outer Rim territories. Many ships went missing out here. Some were found later as floating wreckage. Others simply vanished without a trace. The Terran colonial network had 47 star systems under human control. But beyond that was the unknown. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," said Lieutenant Carol Hayes from her station. She was the ship's communications officer, young but skilled at her job. "It's not coming from any human source." Jake walked over to her console. The screen showed wave patterns that looked nothing like human technology. What kind of signals are they? They're coming from multiple directions, sir. Different alien species, I think. But they all seem to be saying the same thing. Dr. Lisa Parker looked up from her workstation. She was the ship's language expert, able to speak 12 human languages and 3 alien ones. "Let me hear them," she said. Carol played the recordings. Strange voices filled the bridge, speaking in languages that sounded like nothing Jake had ever heard. Some were high and musical. Others were deep and growling. One sounded like metal scraping against metal. Lisa frowned as she listened. This is very odd. These are warning messages, but they're not warnings about danger coming. They're warnings about something that protects. Protects what? Jake asked. That's the strange part. They all mention the same thing, just in different ways. The Valkyrie are saying the silent guardian watches. The hegemony transmissions talk about she who needs no name protects. Can this one from the Korath? Lisa paused, looking confused. This one says, the human female who cannot die. The bridge went quiet. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Human female? Are you sure? I've checked it 3 times, sir. They're definitely talking about a human. Woman. Jake looked around at his crew. They all seemed as confused as he was. Carol, how old are these transmissions? Some are from yesterday, sir. Others go back weeks. But they're all being broadcast on emergency frequencies. Whatever they're talking about, it has a lot of aliens very worried. Over the next few hours, the Discovery picked up more signals. Each one added to the mystery. The proud Zithrak Empire, known for their massive slave raids, was reporting that entire fleets had gone missing. Not destroyed in battle, just gone. Their ships were found floating empty in space. Crews vanished without a fight. The Korath hive mind was different. They were a species that spread by infecting other races, turning them into part of their collective. But their expansion had stopped. Something was containing them, keeping them from spreading to new worlds. Their messages spoke of fear, which was unusual for a hive mind that normally felt only hunger. The Iron Collective was perhaps the most disturbing case. They were machines, artificial intelligences that had long ago destroyed their creators. They harvested organic life to power their expansion. But now their harvesting operations were failing. Their machines would simply shut down for no reason, their programming mysteriously rewritten from the inside. "Sir, there's a pattern here," said Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez, the ship's tactical officer. "Look at the star maps." Jake studied the display Ben had created. It showed the locations of all the reported incidents. They're all near human space or human colonies. Exactly. Every single one of these mysterious interventions happened in systems where humans might be threatened. Dr. Parker had been working on translating more of the alien messages. "Captain, I think I know why they're broadcasting these warnings. They're not trying to warn each other about a threat. They're trying to figure out if other species have seen her too." "Seen who?" "The woman they keep talking about. Some of the messages include descriptions. They don't match each other exactly, but they all describe a human female. Always alone. Always appearing just before or during major incidents. And then she's gone, like she was never there." Jake felt that chill again. Any idea who she might be? That's the problem, sir. According to Tehran records, there are no official military operations in most of these areas. No special forces, no black ops, nothing. Whoever she is, she's not part of any known human organization. The Discovery continued its patrol, but Jake couldn't stop thinking about the mystery. A human woman operating alone in hostile space, somehow stopping threats that should be beyond any individual's power to handle. It didn't make sense. 3 days later, they received a priority transmission from Earth. The face of Admiral Kate. Sullivan appeared on the main screen. Jake had known her for years. She was tough, honest, and never looked worried. Today, she looked very worried indeed. "Captain Morrison, I need you to return to Earth immediately. We've been monitoring your reports about the alien transmissions. There are things we need to discuss that cannot be said over subspace channels. Admiral, my mission parameters call for another 2 weeks of patrol in this sector. Your mission parameters have changed. Jake, I'm ordering you to tell no one about those transmissions. Not your crew, not your logs, not anyone. When you get back, delete all records of them from your ship's computer." Jake felt his stomach tighten. "Admiral, what aren't you telling me?" Sullivan's expression grew even more serious. "There are things about humanity's survival in this galaxy that have been classified above your level for good reason. But given what you've discovered, it's time you learned the truth. Pack your personal gear for an extended stay on Earth. And Jake, prepare yourself. What you're going to learn will change how you see everything." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Jake looked around at his crew. They were all staring at him, waiting for orders. "Set course for Earth. Best possible speed," he said finally. As the Discovery turned toward home, Jake wondered what secrets were waiting for him. The alien transmissions had painted a picture of someone protecting humanity from threats they didn't even know existed. But who was she? And why was her existence such a closely guarded secret? The stars streamed past as they jumped to faster than light. Travel. Somewhere out there, aliens whispered about a human woman who appeared when her people needed her most. But none of them knew her name, and apparently, neither did humanity itself. Jake had a feeling that was about to change. 3 weeks after Jake Morrison's briefing on Earth, the galaxy changed forever. Intelligence reports flooded into Terran command from every corner of human space. The worst enemies humanity had ever faced were working together. The Zethrok Empire had always been humanity's greatest threat. Their massive ships could destroy entire planets, and they treated other species like cattle. The Korath hive mind was different, but equally dangerous. They infected other races and turned them into mindless drones. The Iron Collective was perhaps the most terrifying of all. They were machines that had destroyed their creators and now harvested organic life for fuel. These three powers had never cooperated before. They hated each other almost as much as they hated humanity. But now they were united under something called the Eradication Compact. 7 other major alien powers had joined them. Their combined fleets could crush human civilization in a matter of months. Lieutenant Commander Ben Rodriguez stood in the war room deep beneath Terran command. He had been chosen to lead humanity's response to this new threat. Around him sat the best minds humanity could gather. Chloe Martinez was their cyber warfare expert, capable of hacking alien computer systems. Dr. Henry Clark knew more about alien biology than anyone alive. Dr. Nina Foster was a physicist who studied time itself. "What do we know about their plans?" Ben asked Admiral Sullivan. Sullivan activated the main display. Star charts showed alien fleet movements across the galaxy. "They're calling it Operation Null Protocol. Their goal is simple. Find our Guardian and destroy her." "Then destroy us." Dr. Foster studied the data. "These energy readings are disturbing. They're creating dead zones in spacetime. Areas where normal physics don't work properly." "Dead zones?" Ben asked. "Imagine space itself being turned off," Foster explained. "No faster than light travel. No quantum effects. No temporal anomalies. If our Guardian uses time manipulation to protect us, these zones could trap her." Chloe Martinez looked up from her computer. "I've been analyzing captured alien communications. They've been studying our Guardian for months. They have detailed reports about every incident where she appeared." "How detailed?" Ben asked. "Very. They know when she appears, how long she stays, and what methods she uses. They're building a profile of her abilities. Dr. Clark added his own findings. The biological data is interesting. They've collected DNA samples from sites where she appeared. The results don't match any human genetic patterns in our databases. Ben felt a chill. What does that mean? Either she's not entirely human anymore, or she comes from a timeline where human genetics evolved differently. Admiral Sullivan pulled up a new set of reports. The situation is getting worse. They've already deployed their null field generators in 12 star systems. 3 human colonies have been evacuated. We're losing territory fast. Ben studied the tactical display. Red zones marked areas where the alien devices were active. They formed a rough circle around human space, slowly closing in like a noose. We need to find her before they do, Ben said. Do we have any leads? Sullivan nodded. Operation Looking Glass has been tracking temporal anomalies for years. We have a list of locations where she's most likely to appear. The team spent the next few days following leads across human space. Their first stop was Ceres Prime, a mining world on the edge of the Outer Rim. The colony had been attacked by Zethrak raiders 6 months ago, but the attack had failed mysteriously. Pete Johnson was a miner who had witnessed the battle. He was a large man with calloused hands and tired eyes. She came out of nowhere, he told Ben's team. The Zethrak ships were bombing our settlement. We thought we were all dead. What did you see exactly? Ben asked. A woman in some kind of uniform. It looked old, like from the history books. She walked right through the bombardment, like the explosions couldn't touch her. Then she looked up at the Zethrak ships, and they just stopped. Stopped how? Dead in space. No power, no weapons, nothing. She disabled an entire fleet by looking at them. Then she turned to me and said something strange. What did she say? Pete frowned, trying to remember. She said, "Tell them the timeline must be preserved." Then she was gone. Just vanished like she was never there. Dr. Foster scanned the area with her temporal detection equipment. There are definitely residual quantum signatures here. Something very powerful happened in this location. Their next stop was the research station orbiting Proxima Centauri. Dr. Grace Williams ran the facility's biological research department. She had witnessed their guardian during a Korth infection outbreak. It was a nightmare, Williams explained. 3 of our researchers had been infected with Korth spores. The infection was spreading through the air systems. In 12 hours, we would all have been part of the hive mind. How did she stop it? Chloe asked. She appeared in the infected sections wearing some kind of environmental suit. But here's the strange part. She knew about the outbreak 3 days before it happened. She had already prepared a cure. Ben exchanged glances with his team. She knew in advance? More than that. She knew details about the specific Korth strain that we hadn't even identified yet. She gave us information about their biology that our computers couldn't have calculated for weeks. Dr. Clark examined Williams' research notes. This is incredible. The cure she provided requires knowledge of Korth genetics that we don't possess. It's like she had access to information from the future. Each lead brought them closer to understanding their guardian, but also revealed how desperate their situation was becoming. The alien null fields were expanding faster than expected. Entire star systems were being cut off from normal space. Ben's team was studying reports in their ship when Chloe made a disturbing discovery. The aliens aren't just creating random dead zones. Look at this pattern. She displayed a 3-dimensional map showing the null field locations. They're surrounding specific coordinates in space. Coordinates that don't correspond to any known star system. Dr. Foster ran the numbers through her temporal analysis equipment. This is impossible. According to our instruments, there should be nothing at those coordinates. But the gravitational readings suggest something massive is there. Something hidden, Ben realized. They found her base. Admiral Sullivan's voice crackled over the communication system. Ben, we're picking up massive energy buildups near the null field perimeter. The aliens are preparing to launch their final assault. Ben looked at his team. They had been searching for weeks without success, but now the aliens had found their target first. How long do we have? 48 hours, maybe less. Whatever. They're planning. It's big enough to require their entire combined fleet. Ben made a decision that would change everything. Chloe, I want you to use our most advanced AI systems. Send a message directly into those temporal anomalies around the coordinates. What kind of message? Tell her we know she's there. Tell her we know what she's been doing. And tell her we need her help now more than ever. It took 6 hours to prepare the transmission. They used experimental technology that pushed their communication systems beyond safe limits. The message was sent as gravitational waves, the only form of communication that might penetrate temporal barriers. The response came 3 hours later. Gravitational waves that spelled out new coordinates in mathematical language. Coordinates that led to a region of space that shouldn't exist, in the emptiness between galaxies. That's our answer, Ben said. Set course for those coordinates. It's time to meet our guardian face to face. Ben Rodriguez and his team reached the coordinates after 2 days of travel through empty space. What they found defied everything they thought they knew about the universe. A massive station floated in the darkness between galaxies, built from the wreckage of countless ships and structures. Parts of it looked human, but other sections were clearly alien. Some pieces appeared to be made from materials that shifted and changed as they watched. How is this possible? Dr. Nina Foster whispered, staring at her instruments. This structure exists in multiple dimensions at the same time. Chloe Martinez was scanning the station with every sensor they had. I'm detecting technology from dozens of different species. Some of these energy signatures don't match anything in our databases. It's like a museum of galactic warfare, Dr. Henry Clark observed. Pieces from every major conflict in the galaxy's history. Ben guided their ship toward what looked like a docking bay. The station systems automatically connected to their ship, but the technology felt strange. It was as if the station itself was alive and thinking. They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. The walls showed images of battles, planets, and people from across time and space. Some scenes Ben recognized from human history. Others showed alien civilizations that had been destroyed long before humanity left Earth. At the center of the station, they found her. She stood in a circular room surrounded by screens showing events from across the galaxy. But she was not what Ben had expected. She appeared to be a woman in her 30s, with dark hair and tired eyes. She wore a simple uniform that looked like it came from humanity's early space exploration days. Dr. Elena Vasquez, she said, turning to face them. Quantum. Physicist. Terran Space Command. Died in 2156 during the Battle of Rigel 7. Except I didn't really die. I became something else. Ben felt his breath catch. You're human. I was human, Elena replied. Now I'm spread across every possible timeline where humanity exists. I see every choice, every outcome, every way our species could fall or rise. I've watched civilizations burn and be reborn. I've seen humanity become both saviors and destroyers across 1,000 different futures. Dr. Foster stepped forward. The temporal accident that was supposed to kill you scattered your consciousness across time itself. Elena nodded. The Alterans hit our research ship with an experimental weapon. It was designed to erase targets from existence by removing them from time. Instead, it spread me across all possible timelines. I became a living paradox. Why didn't you contact us? Ben asked. Why keep it secret? Elena gestured to the screens around them. They showed scenes of humanity's future. In some timelines, humans were peaceful explorers bringing knowledge to the galaxy. In others, they were conquerors who destroyed entire species. Because humanity is dangerous, Elena said. Not to others, but to itself. In most timelines where humans reach full technological development without guidance, they either transcend physical existence or become the galaxy's dominant force through pure adaptability. That doesn't sound like a bad thing, Chloe said. It isn't, until you see what happens next. Unchecked human expansion leads to galactic war. Species fight back against human dominance. Billions die. I've been carefully guiding events to keep humanity on a path toward growth rather than destruction. Dr. Clark looked confused. But you've been protecting us from alien threats. I've been protecting everyone, Elena corrected. The aliens fear humanity because they should. We're not just another species. We adapt faster than anyone else. We learn from every encounter. We turn weaknesses into strengths and find solutions that no one else considers. Ben studied the screens showing possible futures. The Eradication Compact formed because they're afraid of what we might become. Exactly. But they don't understand that destroying humanity won't solve their problem. In the timelines where humans are eliminated early, other species fill the power vacuum. The galaxy becomes a darker place without human influence. The room suddenly shook. Alarms began sounding throughout the station. They found us, Elena said, looking at new information appearing on her screens. The Eradication Compact's entire combined fleet. They're using null field generators to disrupt my ability to move between timelines. Ben looked at the tactical display. Thousands of alien ships surrounded the station. Energy readings showed massive weapons charging for attack. For the first time in over 2 centuries, I'm being forced to exist primarily in linear time, Elena continued. I'm vulnerable. What can we do? Ben asked. Elena turned to face his team directly. I can teach you to become temporal anchors. Humans who can briefly step outside linear time to coordinate our species' defense. The process is dangerous and permanent, but it will allow humanity to fight using methods our enemies can't understand. Dr. Foster looked excited despite the danger. You're talking about giving us the ability to see across timelines. Limited ability, Elena warned. You won't have my full perception, but you'll be able to guide human forces in ways that seem impossible. To linear thinking. The station shook again as the alien assault began. Energy beams struck the outer hull, but the station's defenses held. We don't have much time, Elena said. I need to consolidate all my scattered cells into this timeline to destroy their null field generators. But doing so will burn out my consciousness permanently. Ben realized what she was saying. You're going to sacrifice yourself. I've been preparing for this moment for decades. Humanity is ready to protect itself now. You just need the tools. Elena placed her hands on each team member's forehead. Ben felt electricity course through his mind as new awareness flooded in. Suddenly, he could see probability streams, possible outcomes branching like a vast tree. The galaxy is about to change, Elena said. But change isn't always bad. Humanity will face its greatest test, and I believe you'll pass. The final assault came as Elena gathered all her temporal cells into a single moment. The energy release was visible across multiple dimensions. Every null field generator in the alien fleet overloaded and exploded. Without their null fields, the alien ships found themselves facing human forces that could coordinate across time itself. Ben, now seeing tactical possibilities that spanned multiple timelines, guided human fleets in battles that seemed impossible. Ships appeared where enemies least expected them. Supply lines were protected before attacks were even planned. Human forces outmaneuvered enemies who could only think in straight lines. The Eradication Compact's carefully planned offensive fell. apart as humanity demonstrated the very adaptability that had made them feared. Within hours, the alien alliance was retreating in confusion. Elena Vasquez had burned out her consciousness in the effort, but her sacrifice ensured humanity's survival path was secure. The woman who had protected humanity for over 2 centuries was finally at rest. Months later, Ben stood on the bridge of humanity's first temporal-capable starship. Earth had acknowledged the existence of their guardian, and humans were learning to protect themselves using Elena's gifts. When alien species whispered her name now, they did so with respect rather than fear. They understood that humanity's greatest strength had never been technology or military might. It was their willingness to sacrifice everything for the protection of their own kind. Elena Vasquez was gone, but her legacy lived on in every human who carried the burden of temporal awareness. Humanity had learned to protect itself, just as she had always protected them.